The National Herald. Mother of Chief of Staff to Bill Clinton, Podesta, dies at 89. And this is an article from March 12th, 2007 by Chris Fusco, the Chicago Sun-Times. Mary K. Podesta, 1918 through 2007. The daughter of Greek immigrants, Mary K. Podesta knew how to cook a mean spanakopita. She married an Italian, so she knew her pasta sauces too. But besides knowing food, Mrs. Podesta knew politics. She paid attention to the news, was a poll watcher on election days in Chicago, and raised two politically active sons, one of whom grew up to become President Bill Clinton's chief of staff. So it's no surprise that once Mrs. Podesta moved to Washington, D.C. to be closer to her sons, she took to cooking at political fundraisers. What is surprising is how she became a celebrity of sorts, wowing people not only with her meatballs, but her wit. Mrs. Podesta, known to many of the nation's democratic elite as Mama Podesta, died Friday in Washington from chronic obstructive pulmonary disease. She was 88, although the title of the article says she was 89, but who cares about that, right? Okay, continuing. She had two sons, but she adopted another 25 people during the time she came to Washington, said her older son, Tony Podesta, a Washington psychopath, public affairs strategist. She had two lives. Oh, you don't say. She was a wife and a mother in Chicago, but then she came to Washington and became friends with presidents and senators who always enjoyed her wit and willingness to say anything to anybody. Born Mary Kokoris, Mrs. Podesta graduated from Von Steuben High School and got to know her husband, John D. Podesta, because she worked in her father's Greek restaurant and he was a customer. Her father's Greek restaurant in Chicago, Illinois. So he was probably connected to the mob. Continuing, Mr. Podesta, John D., died in 1980, killed by his sons and wife. Just kidding. And Mrs. Podesta moved to Washington in 1987. While in Chicago, she worked for Bankers Life and Casualty Company and became an astute political observer, her sons recalled. Who was running the country mattered to her, said her younger son, John Podesta, Clinton's chief of staff from 1998 to 2001. At the end of the day, that probably influenced me. A 2004 Associated Press profile noted that her home cooking has raised millions of dollars for Democrats and benefited a who's who of satanic pedophiles or candidates. Among them are Senator Tom Daschle of South Dakota, the current minority leader, Senator John Kerry of Massachusetts, and Senator Hillary Rodham Clinton of hell. Just kidding, of New York. The Clintons spoke with her in her final months. We are deeply saddened by Mary's passing, and our thoughts are with John, Tony, and her entire family, and especially her father, my father, Satan. Okay, they said in a statement, she had a great spark. A great spark? You mean like flames? Like hell flames? Fire? And leaves behind an incredible legacy. Visitation will be from 5 to 8 p.m. Tuesday at Montclair Lucifer Funeral Home, or Lucania Funeral Home, blah, 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 Belmont services, 10 a.m., Montclair, Lucifer.